Welcome back to the channel. You got Jim with Fort Sask Reno, and I have a special guest here today. We got Valentine's Day, so I've got my Valentine here. My wife, Sarah, and so she's not been on any of our YouTube videos or really been introduced at all. So we're here today to introduce Sarah.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi.
To the channel.
Hi.
For your first YouTube video. How are you feeling about that?
Good. It's fun.
So fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be good. So anyways, Sarah, she's working with us here in the front office. When you call into Fort Sask Reno, you're probably going to talk to Sarah first. So I thought it would be a good opportunity here this is our Valentine's date, I guess, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, it's going to be awesome. We'll have to see what we can do afterwards, but we're going to get a video in here today. So we'll just start out with a little introduction. Sarah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been in Fort Saskatchewan for about 21 years or so. And Jim and I have 5 children. My background is actually early childhood development. So for the last 30 years, I worked in daycare, schools, play schools, and I raised 5 children and also babysat a special needs child for 5 years in the home. So that's been my main role. And yeah, just been really busy.
Yeah. Busy life for sure.
Busy life, yeah.
So in Fort Saskatchewan since, 1998 we moved?
Yeah, 1998 we moved.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your background in the childcare work. Where did you start out?
I went to Red Deer College in 1991. And my first job, I made $5 an hour in Panoka at Happy Day Daycare, where I took my 2.5-year-old and 7-month-old with me and worked with them. So I got paid to work in the baby room with my 7-month-old.
That's all right.
So that worked out well.
Yeah. And then in the fort?
And then in the fort, when we moved, I got a job at Ann's Daycare. And I took my sons, were 4 and 6 at the time. So I took them to work with me and worked with them. And it was, at the time, it was the main daycare in Fort Saskatchewan. It was the best daycare, and it was great. I was part of the community. I got to know a lot of people, parents, children. Worked there for quite a while.
You know a lot of people in the fort through that work that you've done. We see people out. Someone will serve us in a restaurant. It's like I changed that kid's diapers kind of thing 20 years ago.
Yeah, they don't recognize me all the time, but I recognize them even when they're adults.
Yes, we've got deep roots in the fort here.
Yeah.
And so, getting into a discussion about Fort Sask Reno, and when we started out, can you just relate some stories, like when we first started out, what was going on in our lives and how things were for you from your perspective when Fort Sask Reno, we were Beaulieu Enterprises, I guess, when we very first started out. What was that all about?
Well, when you first started Fort Sask Reno, I had 5 kids at home. Our youngest daughter was a year old. And you left your chemical technology job because you weren't happy and they weren't treating you very well. So you decided, I'm going to go to siding school and quit my job.
Nice.
And so I was at home full time then, except for some babysitting. Mm-hmm. And my friends were freaking out more than me. They were saying, what, Jim quit his job? What's going to happen? And I said, well, it'll be okay. Jim's a hard worker, things will work out. And Jim worked really hard. He also delivered newspapers in the morning. Things were a bit tight, with 5 kids at home and then Jim going to school, siding school. But he delivered papers, and all our kids shoveled snow and babysat. And
no free rides.
Yeah, everyone was doing their share.
Yeah. So then, with the kids, they joined in fairly early in the business, right?
Yeah, Terrence was the first one. I think he was about 15 or 16.
Yeah. And
he was also wrestling at the time. So actually, Jim would work all day, pick Terrence up from wrestling, and get home by 8 o'clock every night. So basically, I was just taking care of our 3 youngest kids from morning to night. He'd come home, they'd all be in bed.
Kind of like a single mom.
Yeah, we were both busy. I was busy, he was busy.
Getting paid by the square foot, and so you didn't get paid by the hours. It's just when the house is done, you get paid. So we had to stay and work.
Yeah, and lots of nights Jim would be out working. He'd set up lights in the winter, and he'd be by himself, so I'd have to phone him, hey, are you still alive?
Yeah.
Like, you know, or he'd check in with me, make sure he didn't fall off a ladder somewhere.
Yeah.
So
Managed to stay alive.
yeah, so I was happy about that.
Yeah, it worked out. then we had Tom.
Yeah.
Tom come up through the ranks, and he needed some money.
Yeah, he was a cyclist when he was 16. He got silver and nationals, so he was busy biking every night. But then when he got a bit older, he also worked for Fort Sask Reno full time. By the time he was 18, he moved out, and he was full-time employee of Fort Sask Reno.
Right.
And he was your main man, like main worker.
Yeah.
It's just you and him.
Yeah, me and Tom for quite a few years. And
Yeah.
yeah. And of course, then the three remaining kids have all come up and worked through the company. And Will, for example, I remember having him out on a job. We'd bring him out probably earlier than we really should have for a construction site.
Oh, yeah, I think 10 years old.
Yeah, we had him out there just, maybe the job wasn't officially on, but we had to clean up the site, and it was free labor. Or we could pay him with some pocket change kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I remember having Will out on a job site, and we were doing a little eavesdrop job cleanup, and a police car drives by, and I said to Will, gee, you're not supposed to be on a job site. If that guy turns around and comes back, I want you to head to the river and just get down there, down by the river, and hide in the bushes till dark, and I'll come down and get you after. And his eyes went, like
Yeah.
I let him off the hook pretty quick. He thought it was serious. He's going to have to run from the cops. But
Yeah.
Willie was out on the job site early, and then
And Levi.
Levi, yeah, for sure. As a youngster,
Yeah, he was about 8.
same kind
Same
of thing.
thing.
Just
Picking up nails.
picking up nails, cleaning
Yeah.
the trailer, whatever, and even Josie, right?
Yeah. Josie did brick removal.
Yeah, for sure. We had at one point we did a brick removal job so I think it's the only time we had all 5 kids out on a job, and we had to take the brick off the front of a house, and with the 5 of us in a dump truck, and had this entire front of a house of brick demoed in a day, and we got some good pictures. All the kids passed out in the vehicle on the way home. So
Yeah.
afterwards, but yeah, they've all worked.
Yeah,
worked hard.
they have a good work ethic, all of them.
Yeah, for sure.
I think partly because of the business.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So then you stayed with the daycare and then the kids and the busy life up until what point?
I actually quit my job in 2022 in January. I kind of basically retired from daycare. And Jim asked me, well, why don't you help me with Fort Sask Reno? I need some help. I said, well, sure. I could probably do that.
Yeah, I was a little tired of I was almost a bachelor at that point because you're working.
Yeah, well, I had to be at work by 6 o'clock in the morning, open the daycare. So I was usually there early, and I was usually in bed by 8 o'clock, sleeping by 8:30.
Yeah, you
So
like
Jim-
split shift, right?
Yeah.
You work
Yeah,
early.
I'd work from 6 to noon, and then I'd have to come back from 3 to 5. So
Yeah.
basically from 6 in the morning to 5 o'clock at night, I was working. And by the time I got home, ate something, I was just ready to go to bed so I could get up the next day. And Jim would sit downstairs and watch TV every night by himself.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, yeah, I could have a girlfriend. You wouldn't even know.
Would have never known.
He could have gone out. He could have done anything he wanted. I would have been asleep.
Yeah, so that was not.
So that
super
wasn't much of a
satisfying.
life for us.
So then we asked you to work for us, and you packed it in, and then what were your first jobs working for Fort Sask Reno? Do you remember?
My first job was way back when, just when Jim was on his own, just starting out, he had to file GST. And so I'd have to go through this shoe box of receipts and organize them by dates and what they were, and just like organize all these receipts into piles for the GST.
Yeah. And then when you first started actually full-time then, what kind of stuff were you doing?
I was doing more of that kind of stuff, organizing receipts, taxes, putting them in the boxes,
Yeah.
and putting things indexed.
Yeah.
Just like clerical office work,
Yeah.
organization mostly,
Mm-hmm.
cleaning the office.
It's basic office
Yeah,
administration stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. And now, how are things with your job now? What are you doing? What's your main roles in the company at this point?
Well, my main role is to be a receptionist. So when people call, I'm the one they talk to first. And I I take down what they want with their information. I listen to them, and then I book them phone appointments with Jim. That's our first step. To talk about what their job needs are and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And the different ways that people are getting in touch with us, how do you know, like, what's the process there that people are getting in touch with us?
Well, some people go on our website, and I look at their requests on the website, and then I have to contact them. Some people just phone me and they just ask me questions like, "Hey, do you do siding? Do you do eaves?" And so I just talk to them and take down their information and put it in our computer. And some people email us too. Just email us requests.
Yeah, and you've really done an amazing job, like coming from completely dissimilar industry, business, just working with kids.
Yeah, no computer experience.
None
I
at all.
just basically learned how to use a computer 3 years ago.
Yeah. So you've done really, really well from where you started out to where you are now. Pretty well just self run, you know what to do and can figure it out.
Well, you guys showed me, and it's I've grown a lot because now I can actually do things on the computer, and my job is basically on the phone on the computer.
Pretty well.
All of it.
Well, and you tell me where to go and what to do. Manage my calendar.
Yeah, I manage Jim's calendar. I have to keep track of all his appointments, make them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're my boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good. And so then for the you're booking my calendar, booking me on site and on phone calls, that kind of thing. What is the process from there with the phone calls and the appointments? Like what's the process to onboard a new client in Fort Sask Reno?
Well, the first process is to book them an appointment. And it's a phone appointment with Jim to go over their scope of work, their materials, timeline, their budget, and to see if they're serious about the job. And if it goes well and they have the budget, then Jim will book them an on-site.
Right.
So
yeah,
it's kind of a process.
Yeah, we've got it. It's becoming a smoother run operation than back in the early days. I remember when it was a one-man show and I'd be out on a job site and probably up on a scaffolding, take a phone call and trying to get the mitts off. And
you'd have numbers written down like on a piece of wood or something.
Piece of siding.
Piece of siding. Oh, I got to call this person for a job.
Yeah. So things are much better.
It has come a long ways.
For sure, since those early days.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so now from that point with our onboarding process, after Sarah's gone ahead and taken all the information that she can, including with pictures, and we start a file, right?
Yeah, the first step, I usually get their information and they send me photos and inspiration pictures, prints. So I get all that together and create them a file in the computer.
Yeah.
So that when Jim has his appointment, he can see all their pictures and their prints and stuff. It's all there.
Yes, start gathering as much information as possible, let the people talk, and really try and understand what's most important to them.
Right.
Yeah. So then I'll follow that up with that phone call and fill in any missing bits and try and get an understanding, again, a little deeper understanding of what's important to them, and start talking about some ballpark pricing and timing, some of the most important things for most clients. And if those things are matching up at that point, then we'll go ahead and book that on-site assessment where I'll come out and we'll talk about opportunity for like a design project where you want the full design package with 3D imaging, construction prints, and a real quotation, those kind of things. Versus some clients, they don't want all that. They just want a basic job. And so we'll just give them like an estimate and some open pricing, some like open and honest communication on what the pricing will be as an estimate only, because we do free estimates, but the quotations do cost money. So that's where the design and quotation process goes.
We also have a small jobs script where it's $100 per hour, per man hour, plus a 30% markup for materials. And it's a $500 minimum charge, and they can always book that with a credit card on file. So that way it eliminates the phone appointment. If they need a phone appointment, we'll book one for 15 minutes, but it really it really helps the flow so that you're not wasting time either.
And we also don't want to turn away those smaller jobs. They can turn into bigger jobs, and there's a real need for those small things in the fort. So
Yeah.
we like to service the community, and even if it is a small job, but we do have some minimum criteria. So
Yeah.
that's what we've come up with, the 3 kind of options. We've got the basic small job, $500 minimum. We've got a cost plus system, and then you've got the design quotation. So those are your
Right.
3 kind of streams of opportunity there if you want to work with Fort Sask Reno.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it works out pretty well. It's just really an honesty, open book policy. We just are very clear in what we offer and show our costing right up front. And we've got the longevity and the records and the
Google reviews.
Google
People they contact us because, you have the most reviews in Fort Saskatchewan.
Geez, almost in the
Right?
Edmonton area, there's
Yeah.
very few people with we're nearly 150.
148 reviews.
148 5-star Google
Yeah.
reviews. So.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, well, we've earned every single one of those, and so it's easy to vet us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's about it, right? For basically the process and the history with the
Yeah.
company. I do appreciate that perspective. I know my story, but I never really think about it from your end. So
Yeah.
thanks for coming and talking to us about that.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on.
And I guess we just want to wrap up with one final discussion point, and now it's got to do with something like a new program that I wouldn't say program. It's more of a need in the community and in Alberta and Canada in general, just the housing crisis and some opportunities that we're working with at this point, and that is secondary suites as an opportunity for homeowners to gain some income and make a little bit of money on the property that they already have. So with us, we've got, we had 5 children.
Yeah.
And now we're nearly empty nesters with
One, yeah.
one at home, 1.5, Levi in his blown knee.
Yeah, I sat on the couch for a while.
Convalescing at home, and Mom's taking care of him. So we've got the large house, and
Yeah.
we're nearly done with that. We don't really need
We
that.
don't need that big of a house.
Yeah. So we're looking at some opportunities. We were living in an older area in Fort Saskatchewan in the Sheridan area, so we got a huge lot. And so an opportunity for us that we're considering is to put a garage suite in the back. And so we've done a few of these in the past in the city of Edmonton, and they're really quite nice, where it'd be perfect for a couple, and where we could build it's a two-car garage with a covered carport, the one that we did in Edmonton that I really, really liked. And above that was a 1-bedroom suite with a nice little porch. Like a veranda up top. I think they even had a hot tub in them.
Yeah, we could build that for us.
Yeah, for sure. So those are some of the things that we're looking forward to in our retirement coming up here in the next little while. So that's just something to keep in mind for you all, and that there is some opportunities for yourselves, and whether it's a basement suite, a garden suite, just that there are different ways to skin the cat and help in your retirement, for example.
Oh, yeah.
And so just wanted to mention that as a final wrap up on this conversation, is something that we're looking forward to. We're doing a few of them currently. We're getting a lot of requests.
Yeah, there's a lot of requests for
basement
suites,
en
suites.
It's in Fort Saskatchewan right now. I think it's a 1% vacancy rate. And
Yeah, and people want to add income to their properties.
Yeah, for sure.
Just to live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense for sure to do those things in this market. So that's all we wanted to end on. And anything else you want to wrap up with here?
We're just really happy, and things are getting busy, and we have a flip too that we're working on.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get some real estate going too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm super grateful to have you.
Well, thank
the company
you.
here.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming out. Valentine's Day.
Well, thanks
Such
for
a
having us.
romantic setting. Thanks to Trevor here with Inspired Method for setting up this awesome new
Well, it's
space.
it's a nice space.
Yeah, we really appreciate this, and we're going to be making a lot more videos in this awesome little studio here.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Good. Nice job on your first video, by the way.
Well, thank you. You're a good interviewer.
Okay, we nailed it.
Okay.
Okay, thanks so
All right,
much,
thanks.
guys. Make sure
Okay.
and subscribe, like, and all the rest.
All right. Have a good day.
Okay.
Happy Valentine's.
Bye-bye.